So, what's the real secret that separates a casual sports bettor from a pro who actually treats it like an investment? I'll give you a hint. It's not about luck, and it's definitely not about gut feelings. It's a total shift in strategy, moving from just guessing to actually calculating. Today, we're going to dive into that data driven approach that can turn gambling into something a lot more like investing. And that really is the $1 million question, isn't it? Can you actually get past just hoping for a win and start making calculated, smart decisions? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. But it all starts with completely changing how you see the game itself. Okay, this slide just nails the difference between the two mindsets. Over on the left, you've got the casual bettor. Let's call him Joe. He bets with his heart, he backs his favorite team, he chases his losses. On the right, you have the pro. They operate more like a stock trader. It's all about data and discipline. But pay close attention to that last line because it's the key to the whole thing. A pro isn't trying to pick a winner. They're hunting for market errors. And that idea of hunting for errors, well, that brings us right to the pro bettor's biggest secret. Their entire strategy is built around one single powerful concept. It completely changes the goal from asking who will win to asking where is the value. And that advantage, that value, that's what we call the edge. So what exactly is this edge we're talking about? Put simply, it's a pricing mistake. It's that moment when your data tells you the real probability of something happening is higher than the odds the bookmaker is offering. A pro's entire job is to find these little statistical gaps and to only bet when they show up. Okay, so that's the theory. How does this actually look in the real world? Let's kick things off with tennis, which is honestly a perfect sport for this data-first approach because it's a one-on-one battle. The data is just cleaner, which lets us apply a really simple but powerful framework. This is basically the pro's three-step mental checklist. First, they're analyzing the surface and a player's recent form. Is this a clay court specialist who's suddenly playing on super fast grass? Huge deal. Second, they turn into detectives, hunting for hidden signals the market might have missed, like fatigue or a tiny injury. And third, they decode the matchup itself. How do their styles clash? That last step, that's often where the real edge is hiding in plain sight. And this is the kind of data we're talking about. We're going way beyond simple win-loss records. Pros are digging into the nitty-gritty. For instance, a high first-serve percentage is great, but what about their ability to convert break points when the pressure's on? These little data points paint a much, much clearer picture of a player's true form than the final score ever could. Here is a perfect example of finding one of those market mistakes. A top player might be a huge favorite on paper, but if they've been grinding through a bunch of long, three-set matches, their gas tank might be close to empty. This is a classic signal that an upset could be right around the corner. Okay, let's switch gears and head over to the world's most popular sport, soccer. Now, this game is way more complex. You've got 22 players out there. But there's one key metric that cuts through all the noise better than any other. For soccer, the framework starts with getting a handle on expected goals, or XG. It's basically a measure of shot quality, not just quantity, and it's the most predictive stat in the game. After that, you're analyzing lineups for key injuries, and then you're breaking down tactics. For example, is a super high-pressing team facing an opponent that just crumbles under pressure? And this is why XG is so incredibly powerful. Just look at this. Team A wins the match 1-0, but Team B actually created much, much better scoring chances with an XG of 2.1. The final score lied. The data tells us that Team B was the better team but just got unlucky, which makes them a perfect team to look at for their next game because the market is probably going to undervalue them. Here's another golden rule for spotting value. If you find an underdog whose underlying performance, when you measure it by XG, has actually been better than the favorites over the last handful of games, you may have just found a massive pricing error by the bookmakers. So, you've done all the research, you've found your edge, but where do you actually place the bet? See, pros don't just bet on who's going to win. They target very specific markets where their particular edge is the sharpest. In tennis, pros are looking way beyond just the winner. For instance, the over-under games market can be way off when two huge servers are facing off. Or if a player has a kind of weak serve but is an amazing returner, betting on a break of serve prop can be really smart. And for underdogs, if they have one elite weapon, like a monster forehand, just betting on them to win a single set can offer huge value, even if they end up losing the match. Now, this chart for soccer is so telling. You can see a massive chunk of pro betting goes on the over-under 2.5 goals market. Why? Because that market is directly tied to that XG data we were just talking about. They also love markets like draw no bet, where you get your money back if it's a tie. It's a great way to back a strong underdog while reducing your risk. Okay, let's wrap all of this up into something you can actually use. Think of this as a final checklist, a summary of the absolutely critical questions you need to ask yourself before you even think about risking a single dollar. So for every single tennis match, you just run down this list. Is there a clear surface advantage? Have you looked for fatigue from a tough travel schedule? Does one player's style completely cancel out the others? The discipline of a pro is knowing that if you can't build a strong, data-backed case for your bet using these questions, the smartest thing you can do is just pass and wait for a better spot. And for soccer, it's the exact same principle. What does the XG data tell you? Who's missing from the lineup? Is one team fighting for its life while the other team has nothing to play for? This is all about building a logical case for your bet. If you can't build the case, you don't make the bet. It's that disciplined. So I'll leave you with this one question. The next time you open up a betting app, what's going to be your first thought? Are you just trying to guess who will win? Or are you going to be hunting for the data, for the mismatch, for that verifiable edge? That single change in perspective, well, that's the entire game.